Hi, everybody. We'll start in just a
Hello,
second.
welcome. If you don't have your beverages to hand, you could start making them.
We're going to start with a birthday song, which is not necessarily a Dostoevsky birthday song, but it's a typical Russian birthday song.
Пусть бегут неуклюже пешеходы по лужам, а вода по асфальту рекой. И неясно прохожим в этот день непогожий, почему я веселый такой. Ах, я играю на гармошке у прохожих на виду. К сожалению, день рождения только раз в году. Прилетит вдруг волшебник в голубом вертолете и бесплатно покажет кино. С днем рождения поздравит и, наверное, оставит мне в подарок 500 эскимо. Ах, я играю на гармошке у прохожих на виду. К сожалению, день рождения только раз в году. К сожалению, день рождения только раз в году.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kate Holland. I'm based at the University of Toronto. I'm in Toronto, as you can see from the background of my Zoom. And we're gathered here today for Dostoevsky's Zoom 200th birthday party. And this is part of a whole bicentennial program, which began a couple of months ago, which consists of various events. So we've had a panel dedicated to a book, Dostoevsky at 200, with some essays. We've had a presentation of graduate research. We've had also a bicentennial lecture series. And today, of course, we have our Zoom birthday party. Still to come, we have a talk on the 17th of November by Andrew Kaufman, who's going to talk about his book, The Gambler Wife, at Brandeis, and that is going to be on Zoom. And then another roundtable based in London at University College and at Leeds in the UK, University of Leeds. And that's going to be a public roundtable on Dostoevsky, Russia, and nationalism in the global era. Then another of our bicentennial talks will through the University of Bristol in the UK. That will be me talking on temporality and Dostoevsky's imperial imagination. And we also have a couple of other things going on. So right now we have a call for undergraduate papers for a panel that's going to be held in January, and the deadline for that is December the 15th. And also, I think maybe when Melanie is here, I can't see who's here now. Melanie, I think, is going to talk about this, but we also have a blog series that's about to start on global Dostoevskys, but we can talk about that later.
Melanie is here, so I'm going to ask her to say.
Okay, perfect. That would be great.
Let me just get her to unmute.
Yeah.
Hello, thank you. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, just a very quick notice that at the end of this month, we're going to be launching a blog series called Global Dostoevsky's Influences and Receptions. And as all of the Dostoevsky lovers know, it seems like there's no country, no corner of the world that Dostoevsky hasn't touched in his influence. But this series is dedicated to exploring some of the lesser examined countries, authors, influences. So we'll be starting with an introductory sort of session on November 22nd, and then moving into such very exciting topics as looking at Dostoevsky's influence in Saudi Arabia, examining sort of anti-political readings that have come from authors in Vietnam, looking at how retranslations of him into Greek have restored some of his polyphony. I mean, it's some really, really exciting works from scholars around the world. And so really, yeah, look forward to that. It's going to be a very, very exciting series.
Thank you. That's great. And then I also just wanted to say a few words about our sponsors, because this bicentennial program is funded by various organizations, the Social Science and Humanities Research Council of Canada, of course, the International Dostoevsky Society and North American Dostoevsky Society. I'll say a few words about that in a minute, by Brigham Young University in Utah, by UCL School of Slavonic and East European Studies, by various parts of the University of Toronto, the Faculty of Arts and Science, the Office of the Vice President International, the Slavic Department, and the Petroyasic Central and East European Resource Centre. Also the University of British Columbia Public Humanities Hub and the University of Leeds. And one of the exciting other elements that's going on is that we're working on a Dostoevsky research hub that will be through the International Dostoevsky Society website with a huge bibliography of Dostoevsky materials. So as you can see, our bicentennial program is both serious and lighter in tone, and I think we'll see both elements of that today. So I think next what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce, so today wouldn't have been able to happen without two people in particular. So Katherine Bowers of UBC, who is my partner in crime in this whole bicentennial program. And then I'm going to pass things over to Kaitlin Shirley, who's going to be our MC tonight. And Kaitlin has a PhD from the University of Texas, Austin in comparative literature, and she wrote about Dostoevsky in her dissertation. But she also is a social media pioneer of Dostoevsky. She runs the Dostoevsky or Wouldn't She social media account, and also the wonderful book club on Discord that I know several of the people who've contributed things to today are part of. So without further ado, let me pass the floor to Kaitlin.
Thank you so much, Kate, and thank you everybody who has joined us today. We are so excited to be celebrating the bicentennial of Dostoevsky's birth with you all. It's really, I started the Dostoevsky or Doesn't She social media accounts at the end of 2019, and it's been a real joy just getting to know all of you outside of the academic world as well. I know the book club has really opened up a lot of different audiences for me to be aware of people who are really into Dostoevsky, and it's just so awesome to nerd out with you all about this. I'm so excited about what we have prepared for you tonight to celebrate. Thank you to everybody who submitted artwork, memes, content for us to share tonight. You are the reason this is going to be a swell evening. And then I just wanted to also say, if anybody is interested in joining the book club, shameless plug, we have one on Discord. The website dostoevskyordoesn'tshe.com will get you there. So join us. We're reading up to Crime and Punishment in the next couple months, reading Queen of Spades and Father Goriot, and then Crime and Punishment. So it'll be fun. But anyway, happy birthday, Dostoevsky. We're so excited. And I'm going to pass things off to Katya, who's going to introduce our first act.
Hi, all. So it is my very great pleasure to introduce our very first event, I should say. I'm very pleased to introduce Neil Craighead, who has recorded the next item especially for our birthday party. Neil Craighead is a doctoral student in opera at the University of British Columbia. He has been a professional singer for the past 13 years and is an alumnus of the Canadian Opera Company's Ensemble Studio and a Dora Award nominee. His performance career has taken him all over Canada in concert, oratorio, and operatic repertoire, and he can be heard this winter in UBC Opera's production of The Marriage of Figaro, from January 29th to February 6th. Neil recently returned to UBC to continue his studies with the goal of teaching and mentoring young singers. And here for us tonight, he performs Prince Gremmin's aria from Tchaikovsky's Yevgeny Onegin with Tina Chang on piano. So let me get that. Good. So a massive thank you to Neil for recording that for us and for learning Russian repertoire for us. And of course, as we know from the Pushkin speech, if anyone loved Tatiana, it was obviously Dostoevsky. And now I'd like to, moving on, just one quick businessy thing, which is that, as you all know, this is an event that was organized by the North American Dostoevsky Society. And if you are interested in joining us, please do. You can come to our website, dostoevsky.org, and we have memberships there for all kinds of people. You do not have to be an academic to join us, but if you do join us, you will learn more about the kind of events we do, and you will have a chance to plan events with us. So please do consider that. And I believe that Kate is putting, yeah, the membership link in the chat. That is also the link for the International Dostoevsky Society. So if you are not in North America, you can still join us. We have an international society too. And on that note, I would like to go on. So tonight we're going to have various excerpts read. Some of them you all will be reading, I hope. But we have all prepared excerpts, some of our favorite excerpts to read, and I'm first. So the excerpt I have chosen is the Vision on the Neva from the story A Weak Heart. Dusk had already fallen completely by the time Arkady made his way home. As he approached the Neva, he stopped for a moment and cast a penetrating glance along the river into the smoky, frost-deadened distance, which had suddenly flared with the last purple of a blood-red sunset that was burning itself out on the smudgy horizon. Night was descending over the city, and the whole immense clearing of the Neva, which had swollen with frozen snow, was being showered in the sun's last reflection with infinite myriads of sparks thrown down by the hoarfrost. It was minus 20 degrees. Frozen steam fell heavily from horses which had been driven to death, from the people hurrying by. The taut air shivered at the slightest sound, and like giants from all the roofs of both embankments, columns of smoke rose into the cold sky and floated aloft, twining and untwining on their way, making it seem as though new buildings were rising above the old ones, as though a new city were being formed in the air. It was as if, at last, this entire world with all its inhabitants, weak and strong, and all their inhabitants, the shelters of the poor or the gilded palaces for the delight of the powerful of this world, resembled a fantastic, magical vision, a dream that would in its turn vanish in a trice and evanesce towards the dark blue heavens. A strange thought visited the forlorn companion of poor Vasya. He quivered, and his heart seemed in that instant to fill with a hot jet of blood, which had suddenly boiled up from the influx of some mighty sensation hitherto unknown to him. Only now did he seem to understand all the anxiety that there had been, and to realize why his poor Vasya had gone mad, unable to endure his happiness. His lips began to tremble, his eyes flared with light, and at that moment, his eyes seemed to open on something new. Thank you.
Awesome. That was great. I'm so excited to hear all of you who want to testify later testify. So these passages that y'all are going to like read out loud that Katya, you just read, I'm so excited about this. This is a great night just to celebrate our mutual respect and admiration for our dear Dostoevsky. I'm just having a great time. So our next act is a song. Teis, if you wouldn't mind playing, this is by Ruth. I don't have the last name on my.
Levi.
Levi.
Thank you. All right.
You know Plato and Aristotle and Descartes and Rousseau, Hegel and Herder and Feuerbach and Foucault. But do you recall the most famous philosopher of all? Even the atheist philosopher had a very big idea, and if you ever met him, you just might be filled with fear. None of the other philosophers ever went as far as he did. They never made the connection. If God is dead, nothing's forbid. Then one dark and dreadful night, Smerdyakov came to say, Ivan, with your ideas so bright, won't you excuse my crime tonight? Then how Ivan recoiled, and he shouted in antipathy, Ivan, the atheist philosopher, you will now be his story. Ivan, the atheist philosopher, had a very big idea, and if you ever met him, you just might be filled with fear. None of the other philosophers ever went as far as he did. They never made the connection. If God is dead, nothing's forbid. Then one dark and dreadful night, Smerdyakov came to say, Ivan, with your ideas so bright, won't you excuse my crime tonight? Then how Ivan recoiled, and he shouted in antipathy, Ivan, the atheist philosopher, you will now be his story.
That was amazing. Oh my gosh. I didn't even know that was going to be that amazing. I'm so excited about this. Next, we have a passage read by Kate Holland. So Kate.
Yeah, so I'm going to read from Crime and Punishment, and it's the final showdown between Porfiry Petrovich and Raskolnikov. No, Rodion Romanich, Mikolka's not our man. What we've got here, sir, is a fantastical dark deed, a modern deed, a deed of our time, when the heart of man has clouded over, when there's talk of renewal through bloodshed, when people preach about anything and everything from a position of comfort. What we have here are bookish dreams, sir, a heart stirred up by theories, a visible determination to take the first step, but determination of a particular kind, as if he were throwing himself off a cliff or a bell tower. And when he did get to the scene of the crime, he hadn't a clue how he'd got there. Forgot to close the door behind him, but still did it, still murdered 2 people in accordance with the theory. Murdered, but didn't manage to take the money, and what he did grab, he hid beneath a stone. The torment of sitting inside the old woman's apartment while the door was being forced and the bell was ringing wasn't enough for him. No, later on, back he came to the empty apartment, half delirious, to remind himself of that little bell, desperate to experience once again the chill down his spine. He was sick, you might say, but how about this? He murdered, but thinks himself honest, holds others in contempt, wanders around like a pale-faced angel. No, Rodion Romanich, my dear chap, Mikolka's not our man, not a chance. These last words, after all that had gone before, so similar to a recantation, caught him completely by surprise. Raskolnikov started shaking all over as if he'd been stabbed. So, who did it? He asked, unable to resist, gasping for air. Porfiry Petrovich all but threw himself back in his chair as if utterly astounded by the question. What do you mean, who did it? He repeated, as if he couldn't believe his ears. Why, you did it, Rodion Romanich. With respect, sir, the murderer is you, he almost whispered in a voice of total conviction.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay. Next, some of you submitted your artwork for us to display this evening. So we have a slideshow with that going on. And I don't mean to call somebody out on the spot, but Hope Johnson, if you want to read your poem to Yvonne out loud tonight, we would love that to happen. So just message me and let me know if you want to do that, because I know you're here. And without further ado, we will have our artwork slideshow with some really awesome Dostoevsky art. So thank you.
just living this life so different and weird. And more than a century apart, I wonder how Dostoevsky survived, and through his words helped so many of us to survive and keep surviving. For as I look out the window, wondering the very ways this world appears alien to the dying human in me, I see a light in the form of his words, helping me through this darkness, helping me through this abyss, as he makes me see the futility of it all, yet makes me see the worth of it all.
So some really excellent artwork there. If anybody wants to see for a longer period of time, just send us a message and we'll make that available. Maybe we'll make these presentations available. Hope, if you are ready, I'm going to ask you to unmute and you can read your poem for us. Thank you so much.
All right, this is called To Yvonne, and it's inspired by the chapter Rebellion in the Brothers Karamazov. The patrons of the pub are content in raucous laughter, naive to the sickness of consciousness. But your eyes are late night red, veins prominent, as you tell of the shattered boy in the ER whose father pummeled him with raging fists because he broke a window by accident. If this is the almighty model, then you return to him your ticket. If 2 + 2 is always 4, then you're right. He is, but he's not who he should be. When Job lay sweaty, naked with boils, encircled by bloody pottery, if your math could explain God, then he should be cursed. Rational equals truth, Euclidean. Of course, your logic has no obsidian, tendencies of the ancient snake, dark and glossy postulation. Did God really say? Your premise remains. Brother, you think in paradigms, penned in permanent ink, slithering questions the way that you think, whispers the lie of knowledge, of the mystery and his ways. Brother, you think in skeletons, outlines of dry, hinting at breath, but falling short. Your mind has cannibalized your heart. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hope. That was wonderful. So next, Kate, if you want to direct everybody to what we're doing.
Yes. So what happened now is that I know that a lot of you would like to speak, or we assume that some of you at least would like to speak. But what we were going to do is we have a breakout room, which Kaitlin is going to go into, and she inside in the breakout room. So if you're interested in speaking, if you'd like to read something out, if you'd like to say something about your reading of Dostoevsky, any kind of comment you'd like to make, go to the breakout room, to the testimonial room, and then you can meet with Kaitlin, and she will just speak to her, tell her what you want to do, and she'll put you on the list for testifying or for reading out a passage. This was kind of the easiest way with such a large number of people and from all over the world and sort of publicly advertised and so on for us to make sure that everybody who speaks can speak. So if you, Kaitlin, do you want to go to the breakout room now?
I should say also there are already people in the breakout room.
Oh, some people have gone already. Okay, great.
Are eager to testify. And I should also say that if some Zoom platforms do not have the breakout room option on the bottom, but if you cannot see it, message me privately and I can put you in it. So
if anybody would like to speak and they can't see the breakout room, just send a message in the chat to Katya or to Katherine Bowers, and she will put you in the breakout room.
Mm-hmm.
So Sarah, can you put me in the breakout room? It is not letting me get there.
Yes, I can put you in the breakout room. Hold on. There you go.
Thank you.
So anybody, if you would like to speak, you can join the breakout room at any point. I mean, I guess we'll probably only be for about 5 minutes that people will be in there, right? So if you would like to speak, go to the breakout room now. And Katya, shall we do our Ask Me Anything now?
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds
Would you like to begin by asking, or would you like to begin by answering?
So what we decided to do is that while people are being put into the breakout room and deciding on their testimonials, Kate and I are going to ask each other Dostoevsky questions or general questions, and we're going to try to answer them with Dostoevsky quotes. So wish us luck. So the first question I have for you, Kate, is, hold on, let me find it. There it is. Are you afraid of death?
Oops, just a second.
No easy questions here, people.
Let's see. Are you starting on number 1?
Yes.
Okay. To live. So ask me again. Sorry.
I think people have not figured out that this is highly scripted. Are you afraid of death, Kate?
To live somewhere high up on a cliffside, on a ledge so narrow that there was room only for 2 feet, and with the abyss, the ocean, eternal darkness, eternal solitude, eternal storm all around, to stay like that, on a square foot of space, an entire lifetime, 1,000 years, an eternity, it would be better to live so than to die right now. Only to live, to live, to live, to live no matter how, only to live. Okay, do you want to? So, Katya, I'm curious, what's the purpose of life?
As I said, no easy questions here, but for Dostoevsky fans, this is an easier one, right? So the purpose of life is to love life more than its meaning. Profundity. So, Kate, what do you think about Gogol?
I think that we all come out from under Gogol's overcoat. Okay, and Katya, this is an important one. What should a gentleman wear while asking out a lady? Katya, I'm wondering about that.
And smartly dressed, his frock coat buttoned, wearing black gloves, and carrying his top hat, obviously.
Perfect. And just in case anyone's just joining, so if you want to speak, if you want to testify, go to the breakout room, and Kaitlin will meet you there, and then you can come back here afterwards. We're just filling out time while the testimonials are being organized right now. Okay, am I asking you, or are you asking me?
I'm asking you, but I would like to say that Robin Feuermiller has shared in the chat a small testimonial, which is, this is mind-bogglingly wonderful. And I'm so
good.
Okay. Kate, are humans inherently good or bad?
Everything except man is sinless.
Kate, I'm going to interrupt because my French is terrible. Kate, could you maybe let me ask you this one too?
Sure.
Who is the perfect man on earth, Kate?
L'homme de la nature et de la vérité.
Yeah.
What defines humanity, Katya?
Well, Kate, each of us is guilty in everything before everyone, and I most of all. So, Kate, a question that plagues us all. Why write?
I believe for some reason that if I write it down, I shall then be rid of it. So why not try?
Sage advice.
Does time exist externally, or is it a human construct, Katya?
Well, proofs are no help to faith, especially material proofs. So, Kate, why does it have to be this way?
My best feelings, gratitude, for example, are formally forbidden solely because of my social position. Katya, why live?
Get all the hard questions. Tell me straight out. I call on you. Answer me. Imagine that you yourself are building the edifice of human destiny with the object of making people happy in the finale, of giving them peace and rest at last. But for that, you must inevitably and unavoidably torture just one tiny creature, that same child who was beating her chest with her little fists, and raise your edifice on the foundation of her unrequited tears. Would you agree to be the architect on such conditions? Tell me the truth.
Whew.
I know. And another one. So Kate, what is the meaning of life?
I'm sensing a theme here. To love not for a chance moment, but for all time. Katya, I'm wondering what you think about money.
Well, my idea is to become a Rothschild, to become as rich as Rothschild, not simply rich, but precisely like Rothschild. And on the same theme, Kate, what would you do with exactly 3,000 rubles?
Well, of course, I would go on a spree and squander it all.
I love this.
You're back.
We are back. We are ready for our testimonials. I hope you had a lovely little AMA.
Yes, we did.
Okay. Don't end on a monetary note.
So I have first up Melanie Jones. I have to find everybody to unmute them first. So I'm sorry, there are so many of you in here, thank goodness, but I have to look through everybody to find the person to unmute. Sorry, I'm having a little technical difficulty here.
Did we bring the people back from the
we did. Everybody should have left.
Everybody's back.
Room. There we go.
Okay, great.
Hello. I love, first of all, that we're calling these testimonials. I feel as though I'm in a courtroom now. I credit Dostoevsky for better and for worse, perhaps, for the fact that I went in my freshman year of college thinking I was going to become a psychologist. And I can feel him shuddering from here, or perhaps a marine biologist. And then my freshman year, I read a book that had this chapter and this passage in it, and it changed the course of my life. So this is from The Devil, from the Brothers Karamazov. Judging by the enthusiasm with which you deny me, the gentleman laughed, I'm convinced you do believe in me all the same. Not in the least, not for 100th part do I believe in you. But for 1,000th part, you do believe. Homeopathic doses are perhaps the strongest. Admit that you do believe. Let's say for 10,000th part. Not for one moment, Ivan cried in a rage. And by the way, I should like to believe in you, he suddenly added strangely. Aha, quite a confession, really. But I'm kind, I will help you here too. Listen, it is I who have caught you, not you me. I deliberately told you your own anecdote, which you had forgotten, so you would finally lose faith in me. Lies, the purpose of your appearance is to convince me that you are. Precisely. But hesitation, anxiety, the struggle between belief and disbelief, all that is sometimes such a torment for a conscientious man like yourself that it's better to hang oneself. Precisely because I knew you had a tiny bit of belief in me. I let in some final disbelief by telling you that anecdote. I'm leading you alternately between belief and disbelief, and I have my own purpose in doing so. A new method, sir. When you've completely lost faith in me, then you'll immediately start convincing me to my face that I am not a dream, but a reality. I know you now, and then my goal will be achieved. And it is a noble goal. I will sow just a tiny seed of faith in you, and from it an oak will grow, and such an oak that you sitting in that oak will want to join the desert fathers and the blameless women, because secretly you want that very, very much. You will dine on locusts, you will drag yourself to the desert, and you will seek salvation.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That was amazing. Thank you, Melanie. Next, we have Antonia A.
Hi, everyone. Really nice to be here. Thank you for organizing this. And yeah, I read Brothers Karamazov as well in my undergrad, and then it turned me on to the world of literature in general. So I credit Dostoevsky with a lot in my own life. I'm just going to read a paragraph from Demons, which I thought was quite relevant to, well, probably of all time. But anyhow, here goes. Reason has never been able to define evil and good, or even to separate evil from good, if only approximately. On the contrary, it has always confused them shamefully and pitifully, and science has offered the solution of the fist. Half science has been especially distinguished for that, the most terrible scourge of mankind, worse than plague, hunger, or war, unknown till our century. Half science is a despot such as has never been seen before, a despot with its own priests and slaves, a despot before whom everything has bowed down with a love and superstition unthinkable till now, before whom even science itself trembles and whom it shamefully caters to. These are all your words, Stavrogin.
Love it. Thank you so much. Next, we have Hasue.
All right, so I'll just start reading. So as a child of American evangelicals, my introduction to faith was always absolutist. Biblical literalism was to be defended to the smallest detail, and the world turned into mere black and white. This is why when the veil of innocence was lifted from my eyes, the existential reality of our world broke this fragile faith. And being prone to rebellion and idealism, I became the caricature found within many Dostoevsky novels, the depressed socialist atheist set on killing himself in the world. I began my journey back to Christian existentialism with Kierkegaard, but it was in the beauty of Dostoevsky's passion that the flame began to roar. In his words, I saw my demons, my doubts, my terror, my despair, my faith, my hope, my mercy, my love for life and humanity. In him, I found a prophet and companion through the dark night of my soul, a mirror in which I finally saw the beauty of Gethsemane. And so I'll end my testimonial with a paragraph which best summarizes what Dostoevsky means to me. It is found in his letter to Natalia, who provided him the New Testament during his own dark night of the soul. As for myself, I confess that I am a child of my age, a child of unbelief and doubt up to this very moment, and I am certain of it, to the grave. What terrible moments this thirst to believe has cost me and continues to cost me, burning more strongly in my soul the more contrary arguments there are. Nevertheless, God sometimes sends me moments of complete tranquility. In such moments, I love and find that I am loved by others, and in such moments, I have nurtured myself a symbol of truth, in which everything is clear and holy for me. The symbol is very simple. It is the belief that there is nothing finer, profounder, more attractive, more reasonable, more courageous, and more perfect than Christ. And not only is there no, but I tell myself with jealous love that there cannot be. Even if someone were to prove to me that the truth lay outside Christ, I should prefer to remain with Christ than with the truth. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Next, we have Thomas Seidenberg.
Hello, thank you very much. Pleasure to be speaking to you all. Thank you for the Society #1 and happy birthday, Dostoevsky. So I also have a passage from The Devil, Ivan's Nightmare in Brothers Karamazov. I have been led back to my Christian faith through Dostoevsky. And so I just wanted to read a paragraph that is from the devil's perspective, that if he was not the devil, then he would definitely be a Christian. And I just thank Dostoevsky for trying to bring out the Christian brotherhood that I believe should be in the world. So I'll start. For what would have happened, I reflected, what would have happened after my Hosanna? Everything on earth would have been extinguished at once, and no events could have occurred. And so, solely from a sense of duty and my social position, I was forced to suppress the good moment and to stick to my nasty task. Somebody takes all the credit of what's good for himself, and nothing but nastiness is left for me. But I don't envy the honor of a life of idle imposture. I'm not ambitious. Why am I, of all creatures in the world, doomed to be cursed by all decent people, and even to be kicked? For if I put on mortal form, I am bound to take such consequences sometimes. I know, of course, there's a secret in it, but they won't tell me the secret for anything. For then, perhaps, seeing the meaning of it, I might bawl Hosanna, and the indispensable minus would disappear at once, and good sense would reign supreme throughout the whole world. And that, of course, would mean the end of everything, even of magazines and newspapers, for who would take them in? I know that at the end of all things, I shall be reconciled. I too shall learn. Everyone.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Next, I have Eden, or Molly, who is under Eden's name. Eden, can you turn on your video so that I can find you? There you go. All right, here we go.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for organizing this. I first read Dostoevsky when I was 14 and I've just turned 18. So he's been huge in my life and love the guy. And this passage from Demons meant a lot to me because it just emphasized Dostoevsky's dramatic power and his literary abilities, which have been so inspiring to me. This is Pyotr Verkovensky. Stavrogin, you're a very handsome man, cried Pyotr Stepanovich, almost in ecstasy. Do you know how handsome you are? The best thing about you is you sometimes don't know it. Oh, I've studied you. Sometimes I look at you sideways on from the corner. There's even something sincere and naive about you. Do you know that? There is. You must suffer sincerely as a result of that simplicity. I love beauty. I'm a nihilist, but I love beauty. Don't nihilists love beauty? It's only idols they don't love, but I even love idols. You're my idol. You never offend anyone, but everyone hates you. You regard everyone as your equal, but everyone's afraid of you, and that's good. No one ever comes to slap you on the shoulder. You're a terrible aristocrat. When an aristocrat goes in for democracy, it's irresistible. It means nothing to you to sacrifice life, whether yours or someone else's. You're just the sort of person needed. You're just the sort I need. I know of no one else but you. You're the leader, the sun, and I'm your worm.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Yvonne. Yvonne.
Hard to follow that, but I will try. I don't have a passage prepared since no one's read my favorite one so far. I thought they would, but here we have my testimonial. Hi, everyone. I'm a little bit nervous testifying in front of all of you, but let's do this. All throughout yesterday, I was leaning towards not writing anything because I wanted to avoid getting too emotional about the significance of Dostoevsky, not only as a literary titan and trailblazer in literature and existentialism, but in my own life as well. But then I thought to myself that out of all groups of people to tell all this to, you all are those who would understand the most and most likely have a similar emotional connection. Fyodor Dostoevsky and his characters evoke for me two monumentous transitions in my life, from middle school to high school and high school into college. For the former, I have formative sense memories of sneaking out of gym class to sit on the hardwooden bench in my school's hallway to read Crime and Punishment. Then I knew nothing about the influence of the Napoleonic Wars on Russian society and its class system, nor the idea of having both a patronymic and diminutives was a new and somewhat confusing addition to me. However, what I hold about Dostoevsky that I believe to be magical is that I knew then, sans historical or literary context, that there was something very special about this book. Now, of course, I'm immensely interested in both. The fact that in Demons, Karamazov is based off of famous westernizer Ivan Turgenev, and his name is actually derived from sentimentalist Karamazin, an author of Poor Liza, or the fact that the Troika allegory in the Karamazov courtroom scene was partially born from the same metaphor in Gogol's Dead Souls. But it was neither the context nor precedent that drew me in. It was the unbelievable storytelling that painted in fine detail a story of a lonely, destitute man on the fringes of society, the sheer catharsis of Alyosha's departure from the monastery, the way Raskolnikov stares at the wallpaper as he contemplates his actions, the brokenness in Stepan Trofimovich's voice as he repeats 20 years after he leaves his friend Varvara. It's difficult even summing up on paper the mirror to human joy, morality, and suffering that Dostoevsky holds up in his work, but another testament to this is the lovely, engaging community that is built around these books. The Dostoevsky Book Club, run by our amazing Katya here, shout out, has been the highlight of my year despite only being present for one book so far. Enough so that I could write a whole nother testimonial about this amazing group of people. Thank you. I'll leave everyone with one more thought about Dostoevsky. My mother has always described every book that resonates with her emotionally or intellectually as furnishing a new room in the palace of her inner life. For me, and I respect for everyone here, Dostoevsky's works occupy a whole enchanted palace wing that one can get lost in with a mere close of the eyelids. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. That was lovely. Next up, we have Nancy Smith.
Hi, everybody. I hadn't prepared anything. You all sound great, and it's very exciting because, you know, I'm kind of isolated over here doing the Dostoevsky thing and never have anybody to talk to about it. So it's fun to listen to you and hear all of your devotions. But it suddenly occurred to me that over the summer I did the Middlebury Russian immersion program, and we all had to do a presentation at the end. And I did mine on the influence of the Underground Man on the movie Taxi Driver. I don't know how many of you are aware of that. And Taxi Driver is a very intense movie with the same kind of intensity that you get from a Dostoevsky novel. And so I did the comparison between the fact that our Underground Man, when he wanted to help, what's her name, Liza or Lisa, the prostitute? Oh, and he, this is a man who is too much thinking and can't get anything done. He has no will. He has no connection to reality that's firmly grounded. And so when he, says, first he takes advantage of her, he, pays her and uses her. And then he says, oh, I'll help you. And then when she shows up, he's like, he can't. And he gives her a load of grief and sends her away. And she throws the money in his face and, all that story. But Travis Bickle, who is as isolated as the Underground Man, but he's a different thing. He's our American Underground Man. He's from a small town. He was in the Marines. He was in Vietnam. He's a trained individual who doesn't have a lot going on upstairs. He's the opposite of the Underground Man. But when he finds a prostitute, he doesn't, he pays the money and goes and tells her he wants to help her, and the story's a little wacky. He doesn't go straight to the goal, but he does succeed. He goes in there. He's a man of action. He goes in there and he frees the prostitute. Yeah, she's a child. She's 12 years old. She's traumatized for life and all of that. But the man who wrote it, whose name now escapes me, said that he was going through his period of he just
getting on 2 minutes.
Okay, so he was going through his divorce. After his divorce, and he was very depressed, and so he was reading The Underground Man, and that's how he processed it and came up with The Taxi Driver, and that's our great American movie.
It's really awesome. Thank you so much, Nancy, for that. I love looking at the various tentacles of the Notes from Underground and The Underground Man. You see that iteration of a character so much, and I love it. Very good. Next up, we have Himadri.
Hello, can you all hear me? Yeah, thank you. I don't have anything prepared, but I'd like to talk briefly, if I may, about when I first came to know Dostoevsky. And I remember distinctly, I was in my mid-teens. I first read Brothers Karamazov. I was 15 years old. This was back in 1975. Yes, I really am that old. And what really struck me, what astonished me, was that a work that dealt with such big themes, big, profound themes, could also have so visceral an impact. I'd never come across a book that I really could not put down. I remember that. It was a tremendous experience, and it got me hooked right away on Dostoevsky. But one more point I'd just like to make very quickly within my 2 minutes is one aspect of Dostoevsky that I think is not often talked about, is that he's a very funny writer. And the bits I read, there's one bit I was meaning to read out, but I decided not to, it was too long. But I read it earlier again this evening, and it had me laughing out loud. It's from The Idiot, and it's a bit where Lebedev, who's a kind of clownish, buffoonish kind of character, gives this long talk, and it's completely absurd. It's about in the medieval times how some chap ate 60 monks, 60 clerics, and also 6 children. Am I still on? Sorry. Yeah, okay. And it is completely absurd and ridiculous, and he presents it as if it was some kind of just speaking in a court. But the point, what struck me is, this is not comic relief, because despite it being so absurd and so grotesque, it actually addresses some of the central points of the novel. The comedy isn't there just for the comic relief, and I find that quite extraordinary. I can't think of any other writer, well, very few, who uses comedy in this manner, and whose comedy is so utterly grotesque when it comes to it. This is something I still enjoy nearly 50 years later. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dostoevsky is, I think, yeah, it's often people forget how funny he is. Yeah, for sure. Next, we have Rex. Here we go. Rex.
That's a perfect segue for the passage that I have chosen from Demons as well. because this was a passage where I literally rolled on the floor laughing. So this comes from part one. You have a kind heart, Nicholas, and a noble one, the old man included among other things. You are quite an educated man. You have moved in the highest circles, and here too, your behavior up to now has been exemplary, and you have set at ease the heart of your mother, who is dear to us all. And now everything has taken again on a coloring so mysterious and dangerous for everyone. I speak as a friend of your family, as an elderly man who is your relative and loves you sincerely, in whom you can take no offense. Tell me, what prompts you to such unbridled acts, so beyond all convention and measure? What might be the meaning of such escapades as if in delirium? Nicholas Stavrogin listened with vexation and impatience. Suddenly, something as if sly and mocking flashed in his eyes. Perhaps I'll tell you what prompts me, he said sullenly. And looking around, he leaned towards Ivan Osipovich's ear. The well-bred Alyosha Telyatnikov withdrew another 3 steps towards the window, and the colonel coughed over the voice. Poor Ivan Osipovich hastily and trustily offered his ear. He was an extremely curious man, and here something utterly impossible occurred, which on the other hand was all too clear in one respect. The old man suddenly felt like that instead of whispering some interesting secret to him, Nicholas had suddenly caught the upper part of his ear in his teeth and clamped it quite firmly. He trembled and his breath failed. Is this a joke, Nicholas? He moaned mechanically in a voice not his own. Alyosha and the colonel had no time to realize anything. Besides, they could not see and thought all along that the two were whispering to each other. And yet the old man's desperate face worried them. They looked goggle-eyed at each other, not knowing whether to rush to his assistance or agreed or to wait longer. Nicholas noticed it, perhaps, and bit harder on the ear. Nicholas, Nicholas, the victim moaned again. So you have had your joke. That's enough. Another moment, and the poor man would, of course, have died of fright, but the monster had mercy on him and released his ear. This whole mortal terror lasted a full minute, and after it, the old man had a sort of fit.
Thank you so much, Rex. Oh my God, Stavrogan passage is amazing. Next, we have Susana Fuentes. Susana.
Hi. Oh, thank you very much for this, for joining us together and our love to Dostoevsky uniting us. Hi from Rio de Janeiro. And I'd like to talk about, to read some lines of Humiliated and Insulted, because I was writing an article about this novel of transition and perceiving how some characters foreshadow famous characters yet to come, yeah, in the major novels. So I'm so shaken by Dostoevsky and how each aspect of human relations is there. And here in these lines, here is Natasha, who loves Alyosha, such a childish man. And here she talks to Vanya, the narrator, a writer who is in love with her, Dostoevsky alter ego. And so, I know, Vanya, how much you loved me, how much you still do, but not an angry word, not a single bitter word of reproach have I heard from you all this time, but my God, I feel so guilty. Do you remember, Vanya? How do you remember our times together? Oh, if I'd never seen or met him at all, Alyosha. I have lived with you, Vanya, with you, my good darling boy. No, I'm not worthy of you. You see what I'm like. Even a moment like this, I'm reminding you of our happiness in the past, as though you hadn't been hurt enough already. Now, you haven't been to see us for 3 weeks. I swear to you, though, Vanya, it never occurred to me that you might have cursed or hated me. I know why you stayed away. You didn't want to be a burden and a living reproach to us. But surely you must have felt awful seeing us together. And how I waited for you, Vanya, how I waited for you. Listen, Vanya, even if I do love Alyosha madly, insanely, Perhaps I love you even more as a friend. I feel it. I know I couldn't survive without you. I need you. I need your heart of gold, your soul. Oh, Vanya, what bitter, what hard times lie ahead of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And our final testimonial will be Jordan. Jordan, here we go.
Hi, everyone. So actually, later on in this evening, then they're going to be playing a song that I wrote called Nastasia, about, as you can probably guess, one of my favorite characters, Miss Nastasia Filipovna from The Idiot. They say your favorite book can say a lot about you, and if you haven't guessed, The Idiot is by far my favorite book. There are so many interesting characters, Mishkin, Rogozhin, but what I like about Nastasia is how complex a character she is. Usually the femme fatale trope is portrayed as very malevolent, but I love how Dostoevsky shows her vulnerable side and how she got to where she is right now. So it's amazing to be here with all of you. And yeah, thank you so much to Dr. Shirley and everyone for organizing this.
Thanks, Jordan. And next we have this amazing song. I think Teis, you'll play that.
When you pick a flower, you cut its life short. Enjoy the fleeting beauty and leave them at the door. Such a pretty woman, they all said since she was young. But flowers can't survive if they never see the sun. She's an enigma in black silken lace, never knew innocence since she fell from grace. Like wolves and men, they're hunting her, take everything they have just to watch it burn. She's waiting for her prince just to push him away. She's madness and fever at a midnight soiree. The only time she wore white, she's digging her own grave. Not every maiden can be saved. Most dangerous women began as broken girls, 'cause innocents don't stand a chance alone in the world. A portrait just can't show the deep self-hatred deep inside, the weight of shame she carried until the day she died. She'll seal her coffin with wedding rings, like a fallen angel cutting off her wings. Like wolves and men, they're hunting her, take everything they have just to watch it burn. She's waiting for her prince just to push him away. She's madness and fever at a midnight soiree. The only time she wore white, she's digging her own grave. Not every maiden could be saved. Not every maiden can be saved.
Thank you so much, Jordan, for sending that in. Eden, I loved seeing you waving your phone in the air. That was amazing. I feel the same way. I should have done that. I think next we have Katya with a toast. So everyone get your cocktail or mocktail ready.
All right, y'all. Are we ready? Sorry, I'm a little, I really enjoyed Jordan's song. Okay, so I am tonight drinking a Grushenka. Here we go. Everyone have a glass? No, this is a Russian style toast, so it's long. So hold on to your glass. It's an exercise in strength endurance. We've come together today on Zoom to mark Dostoevsky's birthday. And I can't help but wonder, what would Dostoevsky have thought of Zoom? Knowing that he considered railroad networks to be a sign of the apocalypse, I somehow think that digital fiber optic information networks would already be post-apocalypse. And now that we've casually brought up the apocalypse in good Dostoevskian fashion, let's begin. Now, it's a tradition in these kinds of Russian-style toasts to tell elaborate stories, but I don't need to throw a lapdog out a train window to get to the point. Whether you subscribe to selfless compassion like Sonia, or are cynically convinced that one viper will devour the other and they both deserve it like Ivan, or you just want to burn it all down like Nastasia Filipovna, and honestly, most of the characters in Demons, I think we can all agree that Dostoevsky's own words are superior. And so, to quote Virginsky, quote, I propose that we get down to it without wasting any more time. Prejudices, of course, are old hat and certainly should be eliminated, but name days, on the other hand, are something that everyone knows to be stupid and too old to waste valuable time on, which has already been wasted by the whole world as it is. So one might make use of one's wits for some topic that's more in need of discussion, like Dostoevsky. Firstly, I hate empty phrases, phrasemongers, and tight waists. I hate smutty stories and the fellows who tell them, especially the fellows who tell them. I love truth, frankness, and honesty. I love thought. I love true comradeship where all are equal and not, or yes, I love, but what the hell, why not? I'll drink to your health too, Dostoevsky. Listen, I know it's not good to talk. It's better simply to begin, and I have already begun. And can one really, in fact, be unhappy? Oh, what is my grief? What is my sorrow if I am capable of being happy? Do you know, I don't understand how one can walk past a tree and not be happy that one sees it. Read Dostoevsky and not be happy that one loves him. Well, and who has united us in this kind, good feeling, which we shall remember and intend to remember all our lives? Oh, guys, I'm getting emotional. I didn't expect that to happen. Who, if not Dostoevsky? Let us never forget him, and may his memory be eternal and good in our hearts now and unto ages and ages of ages. And so, hurrah for Karamazov, hurrah for the underground. Let's raise a glass to the seer. Well, let's raise a glass to the seer of the spirit. Let's raise a glass to the poet of the underground. Let's raise a glass to wish our dear Fyodor Mikhailovich a happy 200th birthday. Cheers.
Cheers. Amazing. Amazing. I love a good Russian toast. It is now my turn to read my passage that I've selected from what is also, Jordan, my favorite Dostoevsky novel, The Idiot. And the passage is a quote of a character who is also my favorite character, Nastasia Filipovna. Well then listen, Ganya. I want to look at your soul for the last time. You've been tormenting me for 3 long months. Now it's my turn. Do you see this packet? There's 100,000 in it. I'm now going to throw it into the fireplace, onto the fire, before everyone, all these witnesses. As soon as it catches fire all over, go into the fireplace, only without gloves, with your bare hands, with your sleeves rolled up, and pull the packet out of the fire. If you pull it out, it's yours. The whole 100,000 is yours. You'll only burn your fingers a little, but it's 100,000, just think. It won't take long to snatch it out, and I'll admire your soul as you go into the fire after my money. They're all witnesses that the packet will be yours, and if you don't get it out, it will burn. I won't let anyone else touch it. Stand back, everybody. It's my money. And that's my passage. So next, we have Teis will be reading their passage from the Brothers Karamazov.
Hello, I'm Teis. I will be reading from He Said That. So right after the devil and Ivan, or the devil visits Ivan. Let me see this. Brother, he cried suddenly, you must be terribly ill. You look and it's as if you don't understand what I'm saying. It's good you've come, Ivan said, thoughtfully, as it were, seeming not to have heard Alyosha's exclamation. I knew he had hanged himself. From whom? I don't know from whom, but I knew. Did I know? Yes, he told me. He was just telling me. Ivan stood in the middle of the room and spoke still with the same thoughtfulness, looking at the ground. Who is he? Alyosha asked, automatically looking around. He slipped away. Ivan raised his head and smiled gently. He got afraid of you. Of you, a dove. You're a pure cherub. Dmitri calls you a cherub. A cherub. The thundering shout of the seraphim's rapture. What is a seraph? Maybe a whole constellation. And maybe that whole constellation is just some chemical molecule. Is there a constellation of the lion and sun? Do you know? Sit down, brother, Alyosha said in alarm. For God's sake, sit down on the sofa. You're raving. Lean on the pillow. There. Want a wet towel for your head? Wouldn't it make you feel better? Give me that towel on the chair. I just threw it there. It's not there. Don't worry. I know where it is. Here, said Alyosha, finding a clean, still folded and unused towel in the other corner of the room, near Ivan's dressing table. Ivan looked strangely at the towel. His memory seemed to come back to him all at once. Wait. He rose a little from the sofa. Just before, an hour ago, I took this towel from there and wetted it. I put it to my head and then threw it down here. How can it be dry? I don't have another. You put the towel to your head? Alyosha asked. Yes, and I paced the room an hour ago. Why are the candles so burned down? What time is it? Nearly 12. And that's where I'll stop. Thank you.
Amazing. Next, we have one final song, and then we have a short meme presentation. So, Kate, got that?
Oh, what was that?
I think we have memes and then a video.
Memes, I think, first.
Sophia's song. Oh,
yeah.
Excuse me. Switched it around. So we've got a meme slideshow next. Follow Dostoevsky or doesn't she? That's where I post these.
Every time I get you to myself, you're going on about somebody else. Please don't keep comparing me to him, 'cause that's some tough competition. Oh yeah, that's tight. He changed your life, showed you the light. He opened your eyes, and every night I roll over inside. Oh well, that's nice. Too bad he's not here tonight. Dostoevsky, oh Dostoevsky. My heart's on fire, she just wanna talk about Dostoevsky. I even changed the bed sheets. I'd love you if you'd let me, but all damn night she just wanna talk about Dostoevsky. All these Russian writers I don't even know. Oh Dostoevsky, tell me why won't she let you go? Every time I look into your eyes, I see a cold Siberian sky. I'm working really hard to get to know ya. Yeah, he's alright, but how's he gonna hold you? That's right. He changed your life, showed you the light. He opened your eyes, and every night I roll over inside. Oh well, that's nice. Too bad he's not alive. Dostoevsky, oh Dostoevsky. My heart's on fire, she just wanna talk about Dostoevsky. I even changed the bed sheets. I'd love you if you'd let me, but all damn night she just wanna talk about Dostoevsky. All these Russian writers I don't even know. Oh Dostoevsky, tell me why won't she let you go? These literary giants she put puts me right beside them, and I'm trying to decide if they're laughing or they're crying. Dostoevsky, oh Dostoevsky. My heart's on fire, she just wanna talk about Dostoevsky. I even changed the bed sheets. I'd love you and you'd let me. But all damn night, she just wanna talk about Dostoevsky. All these Russian writers I don't even know. Oh Dostoevsky, tell me why won't she let you go?
Yay to everybody who's so creative and made most of those memes, and also to Scott Hellman who wrote that banger. The song, for those of you asking, is by Scott Hellman and is called simply Dostoevsky. It's a bop, so definitely check it out. Katya has sent a link to the chat. And this has been such a delightful celebration, everybody. We are so grateful to you all for showing up, for being here, for submitting your art, for loving Dostoevsky with us. And I want to thank the North American Dostoevsky Society for inviting me to participate in this event. Kate, Katya, Teis, thank you so much for all your work tonight.
Yeah, and thanks so much to you. You and Teis are now our newest members of the North American Dostoevsky Society, so hopefully we can do maybe something else in the future. Thanks so much to Katya as well, of course, without whom none of this would be possible.
And thank you to Kate, without whom none of this would be possible.
And thank you to all of you for coming and for testifying and for reading out from your passages and showing us your art and everything else. I think this has been a great event. So we're gonna I think we're gonna play another video as people leave. So you're welcome to stay and watch that video. Are you able to play that, Teis? Or yeah.
So I should say this is it's a Demons miniseries fan video. So the video is from the Demons miniseries, the Russian one.
Really amazing. Thank you all again for being here. We're so grateful to celebrate with you all.
Как сумрак собирался над водой вдалеке, на время превращаясь в обезумевшую ночь. Ночью шепчат тени на забытом языке. Беги, что пути, если услышишь и поймешь.
Из огня заката круг сжимается в половину. За пределами нет возврата. Это будто игра на вылет, и мой проигрыш слишком близко. Они знают, что я их чувствую. Призраки, взгляд, вздох, крик, глух. Сердце держит испуг, и я пока вижу вокруг свет. Они боятся говорить вслух. Они не могут зайти за край. Выжидают время для выпада. Спроси себя, о чем ты думаешь, когда нет выхода? Бьет направленно в ряд твой ход. Каждый шаг будто на ножах, ощущение врут. Темнота плавно Словно не спеша пробираясь вглубь, чтоб тебе внушать, заражает дух, не дает дышать, пока в глубине призраки кишат. Кто сказал тебе, что ты вернешься, что ты выиграешь борьбу с удушьем? Без надежды, как без оружия. Круг защита, нет, круг ловушка. Непокорная цель на мушке. Они смотрят мне прямо в душу. Воздух капает вниз, душно. Темнота говорит, слушай.
Я видела, как солнце разгоралось над водой вдалеке. Я видела, как морок быстро прячется за крышей. Я видела, как тени ходят сами по себе. Ты станешь как они. Теперь ты их услышал.
Молдовки правда.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming.
If you're not done partying, join us on Discord. We're having an after party.
Oh, nice.
See you all later. Thank you so much.